Happy to have a chance to converse with Rio 2016 Olympic champion in wrestling, Erica Wiebe, who is in Ottawa making ready for the Canadian National Wrestling Championships. Erica is now the manager of athlete relations and for Safe Sport, diversity, equity, and inclusion for the Canadian Olympic Committee. Welcome, Erica. You're announcing your retirement from competitive wrestling. It seems like it's all gone by in the blink of an eye from the time when you were an alternate at the London 2012 games to now. How at peace are you with leaving the competitive mat?
Yeah, people keep asking me, like, Erica, how does it feel to be done? And to be honest, Scott, like, I feel like I'm just getting started. So I am, very excited. I really feel like I am announcing my retirement, like, on my own terms. And, I'm so healthy, I have an amazing relationship with sport, my sport, and I'm really excited about the future. And so to be able to really make this decision on my own terms, it's something that is such a privilege, and I'm really excited.
Why don't we take a little trip down memory lane and let's start with Glasgow 2014, the Commonwealth Games, your first major international gold medal, and that was such a high moment. I remember you dancing around with a tam on your head. You had the flag. I mean, it was a big time for you. How important was that to you in your journey to know that you could be at the top of your game?
Yeah, I mean, even taking it back a step, and I actually in my high school yearbook wrote "Watch for me in 2012" because it was like my goal in grade 12 to go to the 2012 Olympic Games. And as you mentioned, I actually lost. I missed out, and I went as a training partner for my teammate. And so I got to be in London and be in the Olympic environment and see just the craziness of it all and really imagine myself there. And then in 2013, it was kind of my breakout year, my first year on the senior national team. I beat the reigning Olympic champion Natalia Vorobyeva from Russia in a match early on in that season. And I really realized like I could really be somebody. And then in 2014, yeah, it was like my breakout season. And I remember walking into the finals at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow and really thinking like, okay, this is an insane opportunity to really prove that I have what it takes to win in a big final match at a big major games. And already I was planning for, being ready to put down a performance when it mattered most. And I was going to be at the Olympic Games in 2016.
And then there's kind of a low moment because you didn't make the team for the Toronto 2015 Pan American Games. How did you kind of reconcile that and recover from that, Erica?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, like, yeah, after 2014, I was like ranked number one in the world. I had beaten everybody, but there was this interesting, like, kind of challenge within myself. Like, I was like, I didn't really understand why I was winning. I had such a lack of confidence. And I went into those Canadian nationals really unsure of myself. And that showcased in the performance that I had. And I lost to an amazing competitor, Justina D'Estasio, who will be representing Canada in Paris. I lost to her, and she competed for Canada at the Pan Am Games in 2015. And I had to come back, and I took that summer in 2015. I actually did gymnastics class with Kyle Schufelt that summer, and I like rediscovered the fun and the joy that I had for the sport of wrestling. And I also really rediscovered like my purpose and my why. And winning medals, winning matches, winning competitions was never the reason I started wrestling. It was not going to be the reason that I kept in the sport of wrestling. I just am such a like student of the game, and I love the pursuit of mastery. And so being able to take that step back in 2015 really allowed me to like realign with what my purpose was here. And it was all about extracting like a performance for myself when it mattered most, and really aligning on like how do I get the best out of myself each and every single day. And so I got the opportunity in 2015 to really go back to the drawing table, really make a plan for how I was going to do that, and go into the Olympic year with, really deep understood values of how I was going to show up each and every single day.
And it all came to fruition, of course, in 2016 in Rio de Janeiro. You win the gold medal in your division, and there was that wonderful moment where you took your coach Paul Ragusa, you put him on your shoulders, and you paraded him around in front of everybody in the auditorium. How much did that reflect what you had been through, and all the people that meant so much to you along the way as you became Olympic champion?
Yeah, I mean, Paul had been in my corner every single step of the way, and he really, believed in me more than I ever believed in myself, and before I ever believed in myself. And he sat me down 8 months out from Rio, and he's like, "Erica, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I don't believe you can do." And we set forth a plan, and many days on the last couple months leading into Rio, I really thought like, I'm not going to make it through this training. I'm not going to survive. I was at some point I was like, send somebody else. Like, I am not ready for this. But I had this like certainty of his belief within me and the certainty that I knew I could get through it because of the support that he gave me, because of the challenge that he gave me every single step of the way. And I remember walking into the venue the morning that I competed in Rio, and wrestling is one single day competition, or at least it was in Rio. And so you train for like 8 years in anonymity in a little tiny padded basement room in the basement of the University of Calgary. And I trained every single day for this one moment. And I remember walking into the stadium and, I already felt like a champion. I felt like this, I felt 10 feet tall. I felt this like energy vibrating within me. Don't get me wrong, I did puke that morning in the Olympic Village because I was so nervous, but I was also so ready. And I was ready for whatever was going to happen because I knew I was ready to put down a performance that I was so proud of because I had truly left no stone unturned. And so, yeah, like at the end of the match, I remember like just being in shock and the slow realization that like I had done it. And lifting Paul up on my shoulders, like he wrestled at a 90, he wrestled at like a 48 kilos at the 96 Olympics. So he's not a really big man. So it wasn't not that impressive. But there's another moment where we're walking off the mat after I had put him down, and I kind of look over to him, and I kind of feel bad saying this, but I was like, Paul, this was the easiest day of the summer of 2016 because, in that pursuit, each and every single day, I pushed myself beyond what I was capable of. And I truly believe that like we all find strength on the edge of failure. And I think having that, deep sense of belief and support that I could push myself beyond what I thought I was capable of, because, it's like that idea, like this, like freedom to fail, which gives you the freedom to perform. I really felt like that was instilled in me every single day, and really allowed me to do what I did on that day in August 2016.
In the ensuing years, Erica, you really kind of demonstrated the love that you had for the sport. You traveled the world. I remember there was a time when you were a professional wrestler in India, where the sport is huge. What did you learn from that about yourself and about the sport?
Yeah, I also did a tryout with the WWE, Scott, which is like when the WWE, I never wanted to do it, like, but it's like when the WWE calls you, you gotta like at least try. And, but I got to travel the world with the sport of wrestling. I'm really close with the Kazakhstan woman that I competed in the finals, Guzil Nadirova. I visited her in Astana many times. So like the friendships that you make, the people that have supported me and have had my back at every single step of the way. Winning an Olympic gold medal in some ways defines everything about me, but it actually defines nothing about me. And it didn't change who I was. And the people who have been in my corner, like I made my first Canadian national team with Jasmine Meehan and Danielle Lappage, and we made our first Olympic team together 10 years later. And I'm still texting them like this morning, talking about how nervous I am to commentate the Canadian nationals later today. And the friendships that you make through sport, I think the sense of self, who you become. I think we both have this shared understanding of like the transformational power of sport. And for me to share my love of wrestling from coast to coast to coast in Canada, to share, the ability for sport to create communities that are welcoming and belonging and safe, is something that is really foundational to what I do, and is really why I'm in the position that I am now to leave wrestling. But I really believe that my impact, I really hope, I guess, that my impact off the field of play is going to be even bigger than my impact on the field of play.
I have to ask you about the unsuccessful attempt at defending your title in Tokyo after the pandemic or during the pandemic. Was that devastating to you, or was it a moment of reflection as you look back on
It was devastating to walk away from Tokyo, and to have lost my first match and come 11th after being reigning Olympic champion. Trying to cobble together training in the midst of the pandemic in Canada was extremely difficult. I think also the emotional burden of like being able to train and knowing that the entire wrestling community and many, many, many Canadians were not able to do what they wanted to do. That was really hard as well. And so, yeah, failing to put down my best performance on that day was a huge, devastating emotional loss for me. And it was really challenging to get there, and it was really challenging to come home. But I also have the distinct privilege of having the most insane, amazing performance at an Olympic Games and also experiencing the most devastating low of an Olympic Games. And those very, distinct experiences are really woven into the tapestry of who I am and how I show up today. And I feel like they are really both equally, intricated into like who I am and the decisions that I make and, how I look at the world. And in some ways, I wouldn't change my experience in Tokyo because it's really even made me who I am today.
And as you move on, I'm going to quote you. You said, I have a relentless belief in the power of sport. Why is that?
I've lived it. I've seen it. I know it and I believe it. I think just sport time and time again has proven that it brings people together. It showcases what they're capable of individually and collectively. And I think we need it more than ever. It's challenging. And what I love about sport is that it is like a microcosm for society. All of the problems, all of the challenges, all of the opportunities and the strengths of humanity show up under the magnifying glass within sport. And it's just such a powerful vehicle, and it can be used in incredibly powerful ways, both negatively and positively. And so that's where I think my radical optimism, Scott, is hopefully going to pay off, because I am, relentless and trying to move the sports system forward through little micro things like every single day, but also at the systems level, I hope, working in the role that I do now.
Erica, thanks so much for doing this. Congratulations on a wonderful career and best of luck going forward.
Thank you.